What's going on, boys? No guys here. Welcome back to another video. Now in today's video we're going to go over the 4-2-3-1 tactics and instructions. We've got two variations. We've got a defensive variation and we have the attacking variation. If you want all my social media links, and the links are on the website, as you can see below on the bottom of the screen, just type in nil.gg on your browser. You'll see all my social media links for FIFA School and everything else. I'm just going to say as well very quickly, in terms of the 3-5-2 and the 5-2-1-2 and the 3-5-2, you're probably going to ask, well, where does this stand? Well, this is the thing. The 4-2-3-1 will always be one of the most meta formations in the game. It's always been there every single year and will always be there. Some people are still using it. I still use to close the game out, and that's why I'm coming out with two variations after the patch that should apply for all of you. So it should make it a bit easier for you to kind of get the grasp of it. So the first one we're going to go over is attacking variation. So if you are using a 4-2-3-1 as your main formation, which I'll be honest, still 60% of the community are, but a lot of people are casual, of course. We've gone with the width of 4 and defensive style balanced. Even if you are trying to be attacking, you don't want to have too much or too high of a width. It's very, very important that you're not pushing players up position, pressure on every touch, and these ones, stamina loss is a big thing. So even if you're attacking, balanced is fine. The depth, we left this on 5 because you want to be higher up the pitch. We have our cam and our striker on stay forward, but generally speaking, when you're losing, or let's say you're drawing and you want to get the ball back as fast as possible, being high up the pitch is better to get the ball back. For the defensive style, we've left long ball on. This is probably the most important thing. I would say only leave this on balanced if you're like an elite 3 player plus. The reason why is in the 4-2-3-1, these cams, they don't have the instruction to get in behind. Whereas the striker has to get in behind instruction. So what basically long ball just means that the 3 cams will just get in behind or get forward, if that makes sense. So when you're attacking, it becomes a very, that's why it's used so much, because you have 3 cams and a striker. That's why it's very much used along the pro side, on the pro communities, and among most of the communities as well. So long ball definitely stays in there. For the attacking width, we've narrowed this down to 4, just for the simple fact that when you're attacking, you don't want these lambs and the rams being too far, almost like wingers. You can always hug the sidelines. You want them to be very much wider on the pitch, but it's always best to have them close together. That way you can pass the ball to the triangle plays, the 1-2s. If they're too far away, they're just going to be too far down the wing, and it's better for the 1-2s for them to be an inside and for them to make runs on the outside if you're doing through balls down the wing. So that's why we've gone with a width of 4. And for the players in the box, we have put them on 6, just one above normal. Again, we'll have some instructions explaining why you should have cams getting inside the box as well, but that's an example. So for the instructions, we have stay central, get it behind, stay forward for the striker, and the cam on stay forward. So what essentially you're going to have is you're going to have a system where when you defend, these 2 guys are going to stay forward. This is what makes the formation really attacking. You think of it like a 4-4-1-1. That is how the formation will operate. We have the striker on, for example, stay forward, get it behind, and stay central. That way he always stays in the middle. For the cam, we have him on stay forward, and we have him on get inside the box. So that means when you go into wing position and you cross the ball in, this cam will run inside the box late. So if you do a driven cross, he'll also be there to make a 2v2 versus your opponent's centre back. For the lamb and the ram, you have 2 options. I've left them on comeback and defense, but you can leave them on balance. So if you want to be more attacking, you can leave on balance, and you can put them on get inside the box as well. So all 3 of your cams will be getting inside the box. So don't forget, if you're, let's say for example, you're winning, you don't want the players to get inside the box. But because this is attacking formation, when you do a cross, you want your cam, your striker, your ram, and I suppose your other striker as well, your kind of your center forward cam, to run inside the box as well. That way you got new numbers inside the box. So it's very important to have that as well. And of course, having them on balance just makes them be a bit more higher with the pitch, and they don't always come back. But feel free to change that if you do want to. For the most defensive CDM, cut passing lanes, stay back while attacking, and cover center. You still need 1 guy to stay back. That way, if you are losing 2-1, you don't want to be losing 3-1, because at that point, then it's game over. For the most attacking CDM, we have the exact same instructions, except for we have balanced. The idea is that when you're attacking, these guys will go in a 4-striker formation, and you'll have 1 guy also coming in to create a numerical advantage against your opponent's back 4. So your opponent will have 4 defenders, you'll have a 4v5 situation. Makes it easy for you to attack. You got 1 guy to sit back just in case you lose the ball, in case you get countered. You can play an attacking centre mid here. Someone like, I'll be honest, like Hullet is a perfect example. Someone like Pogba, Bruno Fernandes. But if you want to, you can. If you know you're very comfortable defending, you could play, for example, a winger here or attacker here, but only if you really know what you're doing. I'd recommend this. Just playing like someone like Pogba here is probably the better thing to do. But I do play Nedved in a situation because I'm very comfortable defending with Nedved without even tackling him, because I can use him as positional play. For the left back and the right back, we've gone with the stay back, conservative, and overlap. It's still very much important, especially with long ball. When you have long ball, typically speaking, your left back and right backs are much higher. You might have realized that if you've got long ball open. What this basically means is that these guys are always going to stay back. You don't want to get countered, because these guys are going to be going in a 4, and one of your centre-mids is going to be joining the attack. So you want to have these guys on conservative. And overlap just means that if you do a 1-2, the overlap on the outside, because of course you want to push your outside cam or your outside winger to the central area. If we go over to the actual instructions for the corners and free kicks, you can alter these depending on how you want to. I still recommend using 1-1, because even you might be in a situation where you're winning and you might be end up losing down 2-1 now. Let's say it's 2-1, your opponent, or let's say you have a corner, you're 2-1 ahead. Your opponent gets the ball and it could be 3-1. So I never take a risk from corners and free kicks. But that is the attacking variation of it. This is what some of you guys would be using. I know most of you guys like to use a defensive variation. So this would be the attacking variation. For the defensive variation, we've done some changes, okay? So balanced defensive style. And this is the formation for closing out the game. For the width, we kept it on 4 because you want to be quite narrow, quite compact, just as before. For the depth, we've took it down to 3. 3 is the best place to be, because you're not exactly parking the bus. You're not doing something like this, overload the ball side. You're not dropping back like this. That is complete negative football. I do not recommend it in any way whatsoever. But more importantly, you're just where your CDMs are basically placed just outside your box. So when your opponent's strikers are there, you're able to get the ball and then go forward. So it's very, very important for your depth. And also, if your opponent has the ball outside the box, you don't want to be pinned too far backwards, because your opponent can be at the edge of the box doing long shots. So this way, at least you're still a bit far up, but not so far behind where your opponent can just do a through ball and get in behind without you looking, or without you thinking twice, should I say. For defensive style, we've gone with balance. Now, people say use possession. It's the wrong thing to use, because if you're getting pressed, you don't want players to come close. The best way your team can help you is by going away from you. Football 101. The only issue is that long ball, players move forward too quickly. So balance, basically, what balance is, the game just says, okay, if there's a chance to move forward, then the player moves forward. If there's a chance to come close, then the player comes close. If let's say, for example, you're winning 2-1, you want to waste time, you do a 1-2 back and you try to do a through ball down the wing. That's your exit strategy. Don't use long ball, for example, for formation. You want to close the game out unless you're very, very comfortable. And you need to know, are you good enough to dribble left stick dribbling ball rolls and evade your opponent? If you are, then keep it on long ball. If not, leave it unbalanced. Even myself, I leave it unbalanced. And for the width, we've gone with 4. The exact same thing, even though we don't want them to be too wide, because when we're attacking, we want to, if we, for example, have the ball over here, we want to be using our wide cams to distribute the ball and kind of play around this area, still to attack, because you still want to go forward and attack with this formation. We don't want them so far wide where we can just pass, because you can always use hug the sidelines. You want to make your team wider. That way, therefore, you make the pitch bigger, and therefore, obviously, it's inherently harder for your opponent to defend if these guys are as wide as possible. You make the pitch bigger, more place to distribute the ball as well. So we left this on 4. The players in the box, we've brought this down to 4. You can bring this down to 3 if you want to. The reason why I leave it on 4 is because I like the CDMs to be just around this area. And sometimes when you're recycling the ball, it's always good for them to be just a bit more further ahead. That way it's easier for you to recycle. You can argue you can bring this down if you want to, but the reason why I think it's important is if you have the ball in this situation, sometimes you want to pass the ball to your CDMs. If they're too far away, your opponent might have a player there and you might get screwed. So sometimes if you run down the wing, like I said, the exit strategy, you go over here. If your CDM's outside the box, it at least makes your opponent be wary, like, okay, he's not passing back to his own half, he's passed outside the box, so I got to be careful. So that way you keep your attacking threat, but you're also not too far forward. So I leave this on 4 and 4. Corners and free kicks, I would definitely leave this on 1. I would not even change this. So going over to the instructions now. For the striker, we put him on comeback and defense. You can leave getting behind if you want to. I leave this on balanced. That's all I use. I still use it on stay central because you want him to always be in a central position, because you want that outlet player. You want that guy to always be forward. So if you do win the ball back, he's always going to be up front. If you have someone who's got very low stamina, someone like Ben Yedder, you can put conservative interceptions on them. Going over to Neymar, we have put him to come back in defense. So we have come back in defense on our cam as well, obviously logical reasoning, and we have stern edge of the box. That way you don't want him to go inside the box, and it's the same for the wide cams as well. We have them all on come back in defense and get on external edge of the box. Now why? Why is this important? It's in contrast when you are winning. If you're outside the box, let's just say for example in this region, you want your players to be outside the box where you can distribute the ball out to. You don't want every single player inside the box, because if you lose the ball here, you're done. So the idea is your players be outside the box. If your opponent is pressing you, at least you got the extra. We know team press is so effective. At least you got the extra stretch. So that's why I've got all three on come back in defense down the edge of the box. And that way they still go forward. All it just means that when you are defending, they do come back on the defense. So they still go forward. It's not like they're not on stay back while attacking. They're just coming back to defend. And for both the CDMs, we put them both on stay back while attacking. And I use conservative interceptions for the CDMs. Typically speaking, I just prefer to have them on conservative. That way they don't move out of position. And I do that just to maintain position, because I think at the end of the day, it's always good to have the players in position. That way you can move them manually if you want to. I don't like them sometimes aggressively trying to intercept the ball. We know interceptions are this year. Sometimes the ball just goes through you. I don't want to take that risk when I'm winning. So I want to be able to position my players manually myself. For the left back and the right back, we have done the exact same thing. Stay back, overlap, conservative. The exact same thing as we did with attacking variation. And everyone on stay back and overlap, and the exact same thing. Conservative, again, we know how effective through balls down the wing are, and through balls, especially towards the back line. So you don't want these players to be out of position, because typically speaking, fullbacks are always positioned much higher. The question I get asked is, should you put your centre backs on conservative? I would say no. I've tried this. I found that there is actually no actual potential benefit, because sometimes when you're inside the box, the AI player moves up to kind of cut the passing lane itself, so you don't want to put these on balance. I would say don't leave them on conservative, and do not put aggressive. People think this helps you. It doesn't. It always moves them out of position. So just leave it on balance. And that's the two variations. As I said, this is an attacking defensive formation. You can still use your regular systems. Now what I do, basically I use this 4-2-3-1, and for example if I'm winning in the game, I'll change to this in the game. So let's say for example, most of the time, this is my team, for example, like here. If, for example, I'm in the game, I normally start with a 3-5-2. If I am winning and I'm very comfortable, I stay in a 3-5-2. If I feel a bit weary and I'm a bit scared, let's say I'm only winning, let's say 2-1 ahead, I'll always go back to the 4-2-3-1. If you do use the 4-2-3-1 the entire time, then have the attacking 4-2-3-1 in this slot over here. Then let's say, for example, you're coming towards the end of the game, maybe you're drawing, maybe you want to go be conservative, or maybe you're winning 2-1, then you can always change back to your defensive variation. That's the key. You want a formation for different parts of the game. It's just like real life. When a team is winning 2-0, they're not going to be going forward gung-ho, are they? So that's kind of the same ideology. I got a complete formation videos for the 5-3-2 complete setup. That video should be out tomorrow if you're looking forward to that. But it's just a 4-2-3-1, both variations. Again, all social media links, type in nil.gg and there'll be a hyperlink to all social media links. And of course, Patreon, Twitch, coaching, all my servers are also on that website, nil.gg. Just type in your browser. Make sure you spell Neil right, because people still spell it wrong, Neil. But anyway, if you do like this video, don't forget to subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, take it easy, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.